I think we're ready to start our workshop. This session here in the main room is going to be about the engineering institutions, starting with the iMechE, and that will be from now till 2:30, and then we'll start again here with the IET 5 minutes later. So if this is the workshop you were expecting to be at, then you're very welcome and good afternoon. If it's not, then I think there is another meeting link that you need to use. And I think we have our representative from the iMechE with us, Charlotte Brownsword. And I think in the interest of saving time, because I want to make sure that there is time for questions, I won't spend any time introducing you, Charlotte. I'll just let you go straight into your presentation.
Brilliant, thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully you can all see that okay. Thank you very much. My name's Charlotte. I'm part of the membership development at the Institute of Mechanical Engineers, or iMechE as we're normally known. Just a little bit of background. I spent my career working in membership, and so part of my role is really to help students to work out which memberships are right for them, and really to just explore what those membership benefits look like of joining the iMechE, what you can get out of your membership, and also what then membership might look like for you guys as you progress within your engineering career. Now, for some of you, this might be kind of your first time studying, and you might be doing that alongside work. So sometimes the timescales when we kind of suggest how far along in your career you might need to be may differ for you slightly. For others of you, it might be kind of moving on to secondary degrees after you've already studied and changing careers and things. So just please bear in mind as I go along, when I talk about kind of timeframes and things, they're generally averages for people. There's no specific timeframes as to when things progress with different levels of membership. They really vary from person to person. And some of you may have developed more along the competencies of UK spec than others. So just bear that in mind as we discuss. Today, my main focus is going to be on what you can get now as a free student member of the iMechE. Our student membership is open to anybody who is currently studying an engineering degree. If it is your first undergraduate engineering degree, then you should be able to get signed up fairly easily. There will be various QR codes throughout the presentation as well, which will just link you to more information. So please do feel free to kind of go off and have a look at particular things yourselves, either throughout the presentation or afterwards, because I know the slides will be shared with you as well. So I just want to start off really with a little bit of background about the iMechE, who we are and what we do. This kind of origin story of the iMechE goes that there was around 176 years ago, there was a group of possibly slightly frustrated engineers of their day who were working on lots of projects that were becoming more and more mechanical, and they didn't necessarily have that support network in place. There were other institutions already around within engineering, but none of them were kind of mechanically focused. And therefore, they wanted to get together a group of individuals to really network and be able to share ideas and make sure that mechanical engineering was therefore at the forefront of government decisions and policy making. And therefore, they formed what's now known as the iMechE. Obviously, since that day, we've grown massively over many, many years, and we now have around about 110,000 members across 140 different countries. So we're now also very much a global organisation. However, the heart of what we do is still very much the same. Our main aims are to support engineers and to improve the world through engineering. And so really everything that we do aligns with that. We've also developed the scope of what we do. So although networking and engaging engineers together is still very much at the heart of what we do, and we still do a lot of work with government to make sure that engineering is thought about and at the forefront of decisions, we also run lots and lots of events, training courses, support for professional development, and we work on professional registration. So we are one of 39 organisations that sit underneath the umbrella of the Engineering Council. The Engineering Council are the organisation who dictate the rules of what makes a competent engineer and whether a degree can be accredited. And so we need to follow those rules in order to then license universities for their accredited degrees or accrediting apprenticeships and training courses. We're also licensed to award 3 levels of professional registration. Those are EngTech, iEng, and CEng. And I will touch on those in a little bit, but they're words that hopefully are quite familiar to you, and I imagine many of you may have aspirations already to achieve those. As I mentioned, we're one of 39 different engineering institutions. I know you're going to hear from a couple of those today, but what I would really recommend is that for most people, you will find that your kind of home sits within one of those, depending on which industry you work in, but that will vary for everyone. Today, I would really encourage you to sign up for the free student membership to kind of see whether those benefits work for you, whether they're of interest to you, whether you find that you're able to network really well with those, and to get involved as much as you can throughout your studies. There does become a fee for membership once you're not a student, so it's well worth exploring as many of the free student benefits as you can so that you know what you can get out of your membership as you move forward. So why the iMechE? Well, as I've said, it's free for undergrad students. We're also hosting a whole host of benefits, including a massive library and lots of other support throughout your career, along with lots of student competitions and fun events that you can get involved with throughout the kind of years of your studies. As an institution with 110,000 members, as you can imagine, networking and kind of getting knowledge to people, we need to divide into smaller sections to make sure that people are getting knowledge and resources that are beneficial to them and of interest to them. So one of the ways that we divide our members is through industry and specialism groups. This is kind of an overarching list of our different industries and specialism groups, although within some of these are kind of subcategory committees as well, so that they niche in on particular areas. Some of these industries also split geographically as well, so you may find that in particular geographical regions, there's a lot more activity purely based on the type of industry that tends to be in that particular geographical region. What I would say is when you do sign up to be a member, it's going to allow you to pick up to 3 of these kind of industry groups. What that's going to dictate is the kind of information that you get sent and the events that are advertised to you. So please just choose whichever industries you work in or would like to work in further on in your career. These can be changed at any time. So, you know, if you move industries, it's completely fine. Just update us so that we know what's going on and we make sure that we continue to send out the best information for you. We also, as an institution, try to give back as much as possible to the engineering community. One of the ways that we do that is through our awards and scholarships. So we do actually have a pot of money that we're able to award for various different sections. These are just some of the awards and scholarships that might be of particular interest to you as a student. So we do have scholarships that will help support financially in terms of undergraduate and postgraduate study if you do go on to study further as well. And we have lots of awards available for people who are studying on our accredited courses. So for example, we award Best Student and Best Project awards, and also Young Member awards. So if you do go out and get involved with volunteering with the iMechE, you might be up for one of the Young Member or Voluntary awards. It's also really worth knowing a lot of these awards not only are they really prestigious because you're able to demonstrate that the iMechE have personally recognised you and the work that you're doing, quite a lot of them will come with a monetary reward as well. So that's always really nice. So I mentioned briefly the library, but I would say it is probably going to be one of, if not the most beneficial benefit that you'll get access to as a student. It is the largest mechanical engineering library in the world, with access to over kind of 60,000 books, 17,000 journals, and lots of databases and resources that will be really useful to you. The majority of our books and journals and things are all available online, with one single search use bar as well, which is really helpful. You can also download a really helpful widget that you can just pop on your laptop, which will pop up if you do try to access any journals, for example, and encounter a paywall. If you could have accessed it through your iMechE membership, it will pop up and ask you to log in and take you to that resource through the widget itself. So that's really helpful when it comes to researching for your essays and projects. Another really good thing to remember about our library is that we do actually have librarians that work within the library as well. They're always able to access via email. So if you do have a particular topic area, for example, that you're really struggling with, or you're struggling to find the right resources for a particular project, you can always drop them an email and they'll be more than happy to help you source some resources to get you started. So that's really, really helpful. As well as the online library, we do have a physical library, which is held in our head office in Westminster. That is accessible to all of our members during the working week, 9 to 5. It is a really nice, quiet place to work. It's not a silent library, so you can go in as groups and study if you want to, and can be a really nice place for meetings with other members as well. So I would really recommend, if you do find yourself in London, you want something to do, have a little look around. It's a really interesting place to visit. Don't just take it from me. I've said that, the library can be really helpful, but our members have also responded to say that they've really found the library a lifesaver throughout their studies. So just don't forget about us when it does come to kind of written work at the end of particular modules. Then make the most of it and use the resources on offer. Along with lots and lots of kind of resources that we have to read, we do also have a specific learning and development team at the iMechE who run industry-leading training courses up and down the country. There are thousands of different courses to choose from. Most of the learning and development kind of courses are paid for courses, but they might be things that employers are willing to send you on. However, they do also run a whole series of free webinars, which often are kind of taster videos of full-length courses. So I would really recommend, if you want to kind of learn a little bit extra, or if there's a particular topic that you really struggle with during your studies, sometimes there can be a nice webinar or video on our YouTube channel that you can link in with and just get that said in a different way, or learning a slightly different angle on a particular topic, which can really enhance your knowledge. So we also have another one of our kind of factors within the iMechE. We run a whole series of student challenges. These vary in the way that they're run. Obviously, for you guys studying at a distance, it's slightly different in terms of some of the team challenges might be a little bit more difficult to organise. But some of these challenges are also available for apprentices as well. So, for example, our railway challenge is run across universities and apprentices. So if you do happen to work in that industry, you might still be able to get involved. We also have some more individual challenges, such as our design challenge and our Speak Out for Engineering challenge, which you could get involved with on a personal level. If you do have a particular interest in one of the challenges, but the university isn't a way to get involved. You can also often volunteer to go along to the challenges or just go along to the end challenge day, which is really fun. So Formula Student is probably our most popular challenge. And what we do each year is we challenge university students to design and then go and build and race their very own race car at the Silverstone track. Formula Student is brilliant if you can get involved as a team, but it's also a really fantastic event where lots and lots of our business partners and representatives within industry, within the motorsports industries, will be present. So it's a really good way of going along and getting to understand a little bit more about what it's like to work in the motorsports industry and network and meet people as well. I mentioned the Railway Challenge. It's another one of our most popular events with students and apprentices. Each year, companies and students from across the country build miniature or small scale railways, and they have a whole load of different challenges that vary each year to be able to go and kind of test their design ability, but also then test their ability on the weekend to kind of edit, adapt, and make sure that everything is working smoothly. So I would really encourage, if you are interested in a particular industry area, you can get involved with the committees, you can get involved with the challenges. It's a really good way to kind of learn more and get a bit more of a practical input in to developing your knowledge as well. So I've mentioned connecting with others and networking. It's a really big part of what we do at the iMechE, is bringing engineers together to get to know one another, to support each other, and generally to develop their skills. The way that our committees work is they're broken down geographically in our global network. I'd really recommend if you scan that QR code, you can work out which region you sit within and then reach out to the committee or see which events they have going on near you in the coming weeks and months. Our committees run a whole host of events. Some of those will be about professional development. Some might be about things like developing your CV. Others might be things like site visits or the ability to just get together and have a bit of a social time as well. A lot of our committees also run a lot of volunteering opportunities, so they might help support you with STEM in your local area or help you find ways to volunteer in the local area as well. At the iMechE, within each of our committees, we also have something called a young members panel and a young members group. Now, our young members network is for anybody who has joined the iMechE within the last 10 years. So it's very much about skill basis and development rather than age. So if you are kind of looking to join the iMechE now and it's your first time joining, then you may well sit within that young member group and you might want to find out what's going on in your local area and get involved. The young members are a really good way to get to know people. I've just put an example up here of our London Young Members panel and what they're up to at the moment. So last week they had an axe throwing event alongside their socials. They also do lots of education and STEM outreach. I think one of the biggest benefits of getting involved with the young members is developing your softer skills. Within engineering, if you're looking towards professional registration, then you need to demonstrate 5 different competency areas based on the document UK Spec 5 by the Engineering Council. 3 out of 5 of those competencies are softer skills based. And it's a really nice way to be able to develop teamwork and leadership alongside the more technical skills that you're probably going to develop quite naturally in the workplace. So, as I say, can't recommend enough getting involved with those young members or local committees and just really finding out where you fit within the institution. I think I mentioned earlier, we also have a YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is a really fantastic way to learn more, to keep up to date. One of my personal favourite sections on our YouTube channel is a series called Talking Together that a group of our young engineers have put together. Our Talking Together series was developed during lockdown, really to support with kind of mental health within the engineering workplace. However, it's really developed from that as well. And what Talking Together does is it takes a young engineer and it puts them in front of somebody who is very prominent in a particular industry. And they just have a really open and honest conversation about what it's like in their job role, what they do, how they got there. And I think it can be a really, really eye-opening way of helping you work out if there's another industry that you might want to work in, and which industry that might be. Really getting an inside look of what is it actually like on the ground working in this kind of job role. So I would really recommend that one. But also just have a look. There's lots of really interesting things on there. Always engineering based, but some of those are going to be very much developing your softer skills. Others are very technically heavy. So it's well worth a look to see if you can learn something new. We also, as one of our membership benefits, do have a professional engineering magazine. For students, that's accessible on our app, and it just helps you keep up to date with all of the latest engineering news, press coverage, and just really having that kind of global overview of what is going on in mechanical engineering, what's going on within my industry, but also what's going on in that wider landscape, in terms of policy papers that might be coming out and things like that. So it's a really good way to just kind of continue to keep up to date, especially if you are taking time out of work to study. Again, that's really helpful, just to make sure that you're kind of keeping everything going while you study. Another one of our kind of really nice membership benefits is our support network. Now, our support network is made up of a benevolent fund that has been developed over many, many years at the iMechE. And it is purely there to support people with the more personal needs in life. I like to think of the support network as something that you can go to if ever you're feeling like you might have to say no to a fantastic opportunity within engineering. They're there to help you be able to make the most out of anything that comes your way, and that is going to develop your engineering career. There's a few ideas of the things that the support network can help with on the screen. However, they're very much a one-to-one basis. You will phone the support network, you will tell them what problem you're having, and they will see if there's something they can do to help. It doesn't matter how big or how small you think that problem might be. Some examples that I can kind of give from experience that I've seen kind of come out of the support network, things like grants for recent graduates. For example, maybe you're based up in the north of the country. I've seen it where somebody's been offered a fantastic graduate opportunity down in London. However, London house prices are so much more expensive. And it's not always possible to be able to afford, the deposit, the first month's rent, and all those kind of things before you've even received your first proper paycheck. And therefore, the support network have stepped in and put down that deposit for somebody and supported them with that first month's rent before they got to payday. I've also seen opportunities. The support network have supported people with counselling, or things like software for computers for dyslexia, just to help continue to support you within work and also within your studies. It's one of those things that's really beneficial to you, but it's also worth noting that as a member, the support network is also able to support your immediate family as well. So if you do have kind of partner and children that are living with you, you can also get support for them. So it might be, that you're looking for a bit of parental advice, but the parental advisor says, actually, I think, your child maybe could benefit from a bit of counselling. You could go back to the support network and say, oh, is it possible to also get support for my child? And they'll be able to do that for you. So it really is a full package of support when you need it. So that's kind of the membership benefits that you get now. Your career is, really taking off at this point. You're starting to study your degree, and you're furthering yourself in engineering. Now, that says to me that you're all people that are going to want to go on and continue to progress, continue to develop yourselves. And so I think it's really great to kind of think about what our next steps might be. So the first step towards gaining professional registration is competency development. Um, as I've said, that comes in 5 different stages for competency. But one of the best things we can do in terms of competency development, as well as developing inside the workplace, is to start to think about how we can develop outside the workplace. So we have lots and lots of opportunities to get involved in a voluntary capacity. I've mentioned kind of being on committees, getting involved with young members. We also have what we call iMechE ambassadors, who are very much based on supporting the STEM outreach work that we do. And so that might be something that you want to get involved with. We partner with lots of other organisations as well. So we partner with STEMazing, with the BBC Bite Size Tours, and also Primary Engineer, who are a fantastic STEM organisation. So I would really encourage you, if you can, if you've got any kind of time available, then giving back can be a really good way of helping alongside your competency development. When working directly towards professional registration, we offer, as I mentioned, 3 levels of professional registration. The way that professional registration works is it's almost like a 3-step process. The first step that you need to undertake is the knowledge and understanding step. And this generally is based on the level of education that you have, although there are other ways to demonstrate that required level of knowledge and understanding without completing a full kind of undergrad or postgrad course as well. But generally speaking, for EngTech, we're looking for around a level 3 qualification. For iEng, we're looking at a bachelor's level qualification, and for masters, we're looking, and for chartership, we're looking at a master's level qualification. We would then expect you to go away and develop competence on top of that. Now, when you are studying distance learning, kind of part-time alongside work, it may be that you meet those competency requirements around the time that you're finishing your degree. However, it may be that you need to continue to develop your competence after you finish also, in order to just make sure that you've got enough evidence at that kind of postgraduate level in order to be able to demonstrate that you have applied the skills that you have learned throughout your university time as well. I mentioned the 5 areas of UK spec. This is how those 5 areas break down. So as I said, competencies A and B, that's knowledge and understanding and your practical application, very much your technical competencies. What you need to do in order to demonstrate competence is not only to learn, but to then demonstrate that practically in the workplace. And that's what we would be looking for in the application. It's kind of how have you taken what you've learned within your studies and then applied that in the workplace, and now you're going to tell us about what you did and what the results of that were. Competency CD&E, you've got your responsibility, leadership and management skills, communication and interpersonal skills, and then professional conduct. So as you can kind of see, they are all competencies that align with that combination of knowledge and understanding that you're learning throughout your studies, but also that practical demonstration of how you do that within the workplace. Now, for some of you, you may already be able to apply for EngTech registration, or may find that you are ready to apply for that throughout the period of your studies. It's a completely optional thing. You do not need to complete one level of registration to move on to the next, but having EngTech registration can be really beneficial because it really shows your employer that you have kind of gained a certain level of competence. It's also really good for kind of demonstrating to customers that you've got that competency level requirement as well. Because EngTech is a professional registration category, you can also then add the post nominals EngTech iMechE after your name as well. So that can be a really beneficial thing because you can really shout about it in email signatures, LinkedIn, your CV, and things like that. If you do want to go down the iMechE registration path, there is a written application form. It's all available on our website. However, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to have a look over any draft applications and give you some feedback as well. For the iMechE membership, we are looking for level 3 kind of qualification of knowledge and understanding. So that normally be something like a BTEC or a HNC or HND. And at least a year's worth of industry experience that you will need in order to kind of be able to meet those competency requirements. As I say, if you're interested in that, then please do feel free to drop me an email. More than happy to arrange a kind of one-to-one to talk about the process in a little bit more detail. So, getting started with your free membership as a student, it's really easy to sign up. If you're not already watching this on your phones, then you're welcome to scan this QR code. It's on this page as well, don't worry. It will take you to the student affiliate application form, and you will be able to fill out kind of all your personal details, where you're studying, and how we can keep in touch with you. Please be aware, although this looks like an automated form, it isn't an automated form, and therefore it can take up to about 2 weeks for you to get your membership number through via email. Please just bear with. Once you've got that, you should be able to get logged on really easily. If for any reason you haven't received that in the next couple of weeks, then please reach out to our membership team, who will be more than happy to help locate what's gone on and make sure that you've got your membership number all sorted. I'm not going to go on too much longer. Really just want to emphasize that my team are here to help you with your membership, whether that be getting the most out of your student membership, whether that be what to do when you graduate or how you go for professional registration. So please do reach out whenever we can help, because that's really what we're here for. I'm going to stop there because I want to leave as much time for questions as possible. If anybody does have any questions, then please do feel free to unmute yourself, or if there is a chat, pop questions in the chat. There we go.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. That's great. It's really nice to see how active an organisation the iMechE is. It's involving itself in society in a way that's a great role model for engineering in general, I think. Right. So far, we do have some questions that have been posted already.
Fantastic.
One of them, it's quite a challenging one, I think.
Okay.
It says, what is the best way to react when a prospective employer says, OU engineering degrees are worthless? This is something apparently the questioner has come across multiple times.
Okay. I think that's where professional registration can be really important. Professional registration, we look at the degree that somebody has, but it's not just about the degree. It's about that professional competence in the workplace. Having, for example, iEng or CEng on the end of your name with your postnominals is a really, really clear cut kind of emphasis to employers that this is the level I'm working at and this is what I've achieved. The professional registration is an external qualification, if you like. It is somebody else looking at it and assessing you, and you are assessed by other professionally registered engineers. So it's a really robust system, and we have to stick to the Engineering Council rules, so it is really, really robust. And so I think that's really a good way of being able to say, you know, it's not about what degree I've done, it's not about what my past looks like. This is what I've achieved, this is what I'm capable of, and I've got the postnominals to show it. So although, you know, you need to develop that competence maybe after you finished your OU degree, once you've got that, no one's going to question what the degree was in or how you did it.
Yeah, I think I would add from the OU's point of view, and that of course the best way to react is to keep calm and not lose one's temper, because it's a daft response. It's a daft thing to say, I think, given that the OU engineering degrees have been accredited. That is a mark of quality. And we take very seriously the accreditation and see the whole process as part of our quality assurance process. So it's just as good a degree as any other. In addition, I would say, as has been said before to other in this conference, being an OU graduate actually marks you out as somebody who's got sticking power, self discipline, and great time management skills to get all that stuff done, especially if you're working at the same time. So that's I think our joint response to that. I've got another sort of fairly related question, I suppose, and that is if you have studied engineering modules not as part of an OU engineering degree, but as an open degree. Are those modules still valued by employers? I don't know what the iMechE's view is of that. I'm thinking perhaps of some OU modules are available as further learning, for example.
Yeah. So I think it makes the process slightly more complicated a little bit when it comes to kind of professional registration, but we take into account everything that you've done to try to meet that knowledge and understanding requirement. So as I said, kind of the standard route would be, I've completed the right level of degree and I am now applying for that particular level of professional registration. But we have lots of engineers that come at it from a completely different angle. I imagine some of you might be in the boat of you've worked for many years in engineering and now you want to do the degree because it's been offered to you and you would like to, not necessarily you're trying to do a degree to start engineering. And I see that a lot within the engineering industry, and I think the different routes that we have then become quite applicable. So we have something called an academic review, which will take into account kind of if you've maybe done a degree outside of the UK, or you've done a whole host of different modules from different universities which make up enough to be a degree, but you haven't got the degree, things like that. We also have a further learning route, which, as Jan mentioned, you can use O modules as part of what we call further learning. And that is the case where people maybe have got some modules or some learning towards a particular level needed for registration, but not completed it. And they need that top up where you design your own plan. And you tick the box to say, I've got the level of knowledge and understanding required without gaining a certificate. And that allows you to move on to professional registration. So again, then when you get a bit further down the line, you just say, I've got the professional registration. It doesn't matter what my qualifications are. And then we also have a final route, which is for people who haven't done any studying and have decided that they have gained that knowledge and understanding, and they have, throughout many years in a career, and they want to retrospectively say, I don't need to go and do a degree. I've got the knowledge and understanding, and demonstrate that in a completely different way. So I think that's where the professional registration is a little bit different from a degree. It's saying, it doesn't really matter how I got there. I just got there and I've developed all of this competence and I've got the knowledge and understanding alongside it. So there's lots of different ways to get there.
Thank you for that. There's another question here, which is about the cost. It says, you mentioned here that there was a cost involved once a student member is no longer a student.
Yes.
But the questioner doesn't think you mentioned the price. I'm not sure.
I didn't. And it's not that I'm intentionally avoiding the price. It's that we have sliding scales and things vary depending on different levels of membership, and it gets very confusing. So once you first graduate, before you move on to professional registration, we have something called an associate level of membership. that membership price is likely to change year on year. I think at the moment it's around £40 if you've recently graduated, and moves up as you get older and further away from your graduation date. Once you become professionally registered, you get different prices for the different levels of professional registration. Part of that cost goes towards your engineering council fees, which is standard across all professional registration. And then you have your kind of membership element as well. With that, although there is a price attached to it, we find that between 90 to 95% of companies will pay those registration fees. So I would say, rather than worrying about what it might cost a few years down the line, I would be worrying about asking your employer whether they have a system in place to cover those costs for you.
Thank you. That's great. Okay. I don't think there are any more questions, not on the chat. So if there are some verbal questions that people want to ask, or if something has just occurred to you, you've got a few seconds left before I say thank you to Charlotte for that talk and answering the questions. Very interesting, very inspiring, I think. It seems to me that joining an institution, I'm not just singling out the iMechE. I think this probably applies to many institutions. You really are joining a community that is very supportive and can be very helpful in your career. So with that, I think we've bought an extra 3 minutes of break. Our next session starts at 2:35. So thank you very much, Charlotte.
You're welcome.
It was great. Thank you.